Did you know that in 2025 there are still a lot of people in this world who have never used a computer before? While the problem isn't so prevalent in so-called first world countries, the rest of us have to struggle with lower digital literacy figures, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa where I happen to live. That's why I decided to make this video, so you, yes you, and you, can show this video to somebody that you know who has never used a computer before and would like to learn how. Show them that learning how to use a computer doesn't have to be a difficult thing to do. All you need to do is watch the video, follow along, do the exercises that I show you. No fees, no charges, 100% free.
Tina's got the know-how, she's the queen of PC. Tina's got the know-how, she's the queen of PC.
Computers are a vital part of today's world. They're used in every single industry you can think of. This makes things really complicated if you need to interact or communicate with people, send information, perform a task, and you don't know how to use a computer. Now, I'm not talking about children. Kids these days generally know how to use tech. They're kind of born knowing it. In fact, they tend to show their parents how to use a cell phone or a smartphone or to do TikTok. I'm talking about adults. There are lots of reasons why so many adults today, particularly in developing countries, aren't computer literate, and I can name a few of them for you. Until a few years ago, you could still find a job where you didn't have to be computer literate because you weren't actually expected to use a computer at your job. This is still true for a lot of physical jobs today, but less so for office jobs. God damn it, what the hell are you doing up there, cats? One big reason why there are so many computer illiterate adults around today is because by the time computer education classes turned up in schools, they'd already left. That happened to me as well, by the way, believe it or not. Because when I was in high school, in Standard 9, the high school I was in introduced computer classes, but it was only limited to the Standard 6s or the first years at the high school and anyone who came after them. But the rest of us were basically denied that opportunity. And even though we asked the school to institute evening classes so that we could catch up, we were basically told to fuck off. Probably one of the many times I was made to feel irrelevant in high school. That sort of selfish, casual dismissal reveals a major flaw and gap in our education system today. A lack of concern for those interested in learning. So one day, if you find yourself somewhere in the job market or in an office, challenged with something that you don't know how to do and it's required by the job, or it's a new requirement by the job, then you're going to have to fill that gap yourself with paid extramural classes, or you're going to have to just Google it and figure it out for yourself. Either way, it's a hard road to travel. And not everybody has the money to pay for extramural classes or after hours, find somebody to teach you how to use the mouse and type on the keyboard. And I also don't know when last I saw anyone marketing any kind of how to use a computer classes, just to learn the basics of using a computer. It's just assumed today that everybody just knows how to use a computer, how to use Windows and how to operate a mouse or type a document when they need to. What are the two things right at the top of the list that most people who have never used a computer before struggle with the most? I can tell you right away, it's the mouse and typing the keyboard. This drives them and anyone trying to teach them, especially their kids, completely bonkers. This reveals another reason why older people are more reluctant to actually ask younger people for help. Their children, their grandchildren, a nephew, a niece. Why? Because they go, what is it now, granddad? They bitch and they moan and they make a scene that only makes that older person feel like a burden just for being alive, being an inconvenience and a pain in the ass. I know, I've been on both sides of that little equation. And not always about computers either, but it's the same principle. And for the younger people watching this video, I also know what it feels like to later on feel regret for the way I reacted or behaved towards those people asking me for help, especially the ones that aren't around anymore. Not being able to use a PC these days is a severe limitation. It limits your access or suitability to the job market. It hampers your ability to communicate, create, or to educate other people or yourself. It makes you less independent because it means you have to rely on other people to use a computer for you, or just don't do anything at all. So here we are. I'm going to show you how to do the most basic, important stuff with a computer. How to turn a PC on and off, how to use a mouse, how to type using all your fingers, not just one or two, how to use Google and Gmail. Whenever you're busy following an exercise or practicing, you can just hit the pause button and I'll just be waiting here for you when you come back. Or you can scroll back to a particular section using the timestamps below. Look for the power button. It usually has this symbol on it. Otherwise, it's usually the biggest, most noticeable button on the front of the computer case. On a laptop, it's also probably the biggest button on the computer, or it's part of the keyboard and it has that same symbol on it. Press it once and release it. Don't hold it in. Once you do that, the computer should start up right away. If it doesn't, check the following. Is the PC plugged in at the wall socket? Is the wall socket turned on? That's addressed to countries that actually have safety standards. Is the power cord plugged in at the back of the power supply? And lastly, is the power supply's off switch turned on? If it still doesn't want to start up, well, that's outside the scope of this video, sorry. If it did, brilliant, let's go on. Now we come to restarting the PC. Sometimes Windows or whatever operating system you have on your computer will ask you to restart the computer. There are a lot of different reasons for this. I'm not really going to go into that now, but sometimes what will happen is that you will see a little pop-up window appearing on the screen asking you to restart your computer. This is what you need to do. Point your mouse pointer, that's the white arrow that moves when you move your mouse, at the bottom of your screen. I know we haven't covered using the mouse just yet, but please bear with me, we'll get to it a bit later, I promise. Move the mouse so that the arrow hovers over the Windows or Start button that looks a little like one of these. Yes, what do you want, Nixie? Wow! Wow! Click, that is, press the left side button on the top side of the mouse just once and let it go. You should see another object pop up on the screen that looks like this. That's a menu and it offers you different options. What do you want to do? You want to restart your PC. So look for the menu item that says power or the power symbol I showed you earlier and click on that. Another small pop-up window will appear on the menu with words like sleep, hibernate, restart and shut down on it. To turn the PC off, you would click on shut down, but you don't want to do that just now. You'll do that later on. Right now we want to restart, so click on restart. The computer should shut down and then start up again, and then reopen Windows automatically. That's great. Now we've done that. Okay, now you want to shut down the computer. So go through the whole process again. Click on the start button, click on the power symbol or the power button, and then click on shut down. Congratulations, you've just learned how to restart your computer, turn your computer back on, and to shut it down again. And you've also made a good start on learning how to use the mouse, which is actually pretty damn good. Props to you. If you want to repeat and practice that a few times, please go ahead and you can click to the beginning of this segment. That's probably on that side. Or hit pause. I'll still be here waiting for you. Now, let's get to grips with you'll probably want to turn your PC back on for this part. Now, a mouse is really just a very clever piece of technology that tells your computer what you want it to do and where you want to do it. By moving the mouse on the table, you'll see the little white arrow on the screen will move at the same time. That little white arrow is also called a mouse pointer or a cursor. And you use it to point at whatever it is on the screen you want to actually change or do an action on by pressing on one of the control buttons on the mouse. If you look at the mouse, you'll see there are two buttons on it. A left button and a right button, and usually there's a scroll wheel in the middle. Now don't worry if your mouse doesn't look like this one. There are lots of different kinds of mice, different shapes. sizes and colors, but they all do basically the exact same thing. Now before we even start, we have to consider whether you are left-handed or right-handed, and that does make a difference. Now a lot of mice these days on the market are symmetrical, meaning that they look basically the same from either side. So you can use them in your left hand or in your right hand. Or is that the other way around? I don't know my left hand from my right hand at this point, but you know what I mean. But even so, if you use it in the left hand or in the right hand, the computer isn't going to know the difference. So you have to actually tell it what the difference is if you're using your mouse left-handed or right-handed. And the reason for this, to make a long story short, is because the left mouse button is used for something and the right mouse button is used for something else. Now if you change your hand over from right to left, you'll see your index finger is on opposite buttons. Now in Windows, there's a way that you can actually tell the computer that I'm now going to change it over from right hand to left hand, so that it knows how to interpret the clicks on the mouse. So this is how you do it. You click the start button, then you click on settings. That's the little gear cog on the menu, should be in that corner. The settings window will open. Then click on devices. Click on mouse in the left hand side of the bar. At the right at the top of the little window settings dialog, there's a little drop down menu. It automatically defaults to right, meaning right-handed. So what you need to do is click on that, select left for left-handed. Then you just click OK, and you close the dialog by pushing the little X right at the top of the top right-hand corner of that window. Then you're done. Then you should be able to notice immediately when you're using the mouse that it picks it up as left-handed by clicking somewhere or right-clicking somewhere. If you push your middle finger with your left hand on the, let me get the mouse. If you were to click this one, left-handed, then it will give you a little pop-up menu. If you click on the left, it won't actually give you any menu. But that's just one quick way to check that it's working. Windows normally defaults to right-hand mouse settings because most people statistically are right-handed than left-handed. Yeah, insert your favorite lefty joke here. Just kidding, not picking on lefties. You guys had a hard enough time growing up as it is. Anyway, so this should make all the actions that I'm going to speak about, saying left click or right click, for example, mirror opposite for when you're using your mouse in the left hand. So if you're dark and sinister, just kidding. Keep that in mind. But anyway, it's not that complicated. I'm sure you'll figure that out. Now it's really time to get to grips with the mouse. Have a look at this insert to show you how to hold the mouse. Place your index finger on the left mouse button and your middle finger on the right mouse button. Now obviously if you're doing it left-handed, do it the opposite way around. Now if you're using a mouse like this, you can easily move your index finger to the scroll wheel if you need to, and your fingers are already on both main control buttons. The first thing we're going to do is start building those mouse coordination skills, and believe me, it is a skill because I've seen a lot of people doing some very strange things with a mouse that they're not used to holding. Let's loosen up that wrist a bit. Holding the mouse, move it in a figure 8 pattern. In other words, like this. Like the infinity sign or a number 8. Just do it over and over. The key to this part is don't stare at the mouse while you're doing it. Look at the screen. Keep your eyes on what the mouse pointer is doing. Now if you look closely at my hand in the video, and I'll show it to you here as well, hold the mouse in your thumb and your ring finger, just like that. That way you can move it a bit like that, instead of moving your whole hand and wrist to move the mouse. Also, when you're busy working on your table or your work surface, usually you'll find that you elevate your hand slightly. It's just that you're not resting on it. You move it like that. Do this for a little while, practice until you're confident or until you feel that you're actually starting to move the mouse in a more precise manner. This diagram will show you exactly what is meant by click and right click and double click and which buttons you use to press. And obviously if you're left-handed, just reverse, just do some mental, aerobics. Left means right and right means left. But so basically if you're right-handed, this will apply to you. But if you're left-handed, just do, flip it around and, invert left and right. So apply it as appropriate. You know what I'm talking about, for goodness sake. Click means press the mouse button, the left mouse button, once. and release it. Double click means double click it and release it. Don't hold it in. Click and drag, for example, you will hold it in, move your mouse and do what you have to do, and then you release it. I'll explain later why you need to click and drag. Right click is when you use your middle finger on the right mouse button and you click it and release it. I'll also explain that later. Click and drag is used to move an object that you see on your screen. In other words, to drag and drop something. You move it and you let go and you've moved it from one place to the other, like from one side of your desktop to the other side of your desktop. The first thing we're going to do to learn some of these skills is to open a program called Solitaire. Now, yes, it's a game, and no, you're not goofing off, you're learning. That was the whole point of introducing Solitaire as part of Windows back in the 1980s, because most people have never used the mouse before, and Solitaire teaches you how to use the mouse. Ladies and gentlemen, point your mouse pointers at the start button, look through your menu, or use the search button or the search window in your taskbar and look for Solitaire. If it's not installed on your computer, don't worry about it, I've got that covered. What you can do is install a copy from MajorGeeks.com. The link is in the details below the video. What you do is you copy and paste it into your internet browser, open the page, click on the download button, then you find the zip file in your downloads folder, you extract it, and then inside you will find a program file called sol.exe. Now, if you're not confident enough to do this, or you are nowhere near that level yet, ask someone to help you to do this. Otherwise, just closely follow what I did in the video. Insert over there. This green screen thing is kind of cool, isn't it? Anyway, I'm sure if you watch the video and you're not up for that part, you'll see why I said you should get someone else to do it. But anyway, let's assume that you've got it sorted out. Either it was on your computer already, or you've installed it, or somebody else has installed it for you. So let's go ahead with Solitaire. So Solitaire has always been about fun. And it may seem tame by comparison to any new computer games today, and it really is, and it's really dull, but sometimes it's the only game that you can actually use on a work computer, because the admins have closed off every other avenue to play games on work time when you've got nothing better to do. But that's another story altogether. But as I say, the main reason it was included with Windows in the first place was to teach people how to use the mouse, because it teaches you all those actions I told you earlier. Click, right click, hello Nixie, meow, meow. There's no such thing as peace and quiet in this place. I'm trying to shoot a video. Meow, 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 meow. Oh, you see, the minute I try to pick her up, she scampers. She doesn't like being touched. Oh! Before we get too deep into Solitaire, let's look at opening and closing windows. And I don't mean the program, I mean the programs inside the program. You've got minimize, maximize, restore down, and close buttons. At the top, that's on this side, on the top right of every little window, the one is minimize. It will reduce your screen down to the taskbar. The other one, the maximize button, which will make it take up the whole screen. If you click on that same button again, you'll see it's changed into two little squares rather than one big square. It will reduce it down to the small size in the middle of the screen. And if you click on the X, obviously it goes away. Anyway, so let's get on to Solitaire. This is how you play Solitaire. The whole thing with Solitaire is it's the same as the actual card game. It's based on the card game, so the rules are basically the same, although there are different sets of rules. There's draw 3 cards, draw 1 card at a time, Vegas, and then there's a timekeeping thing. Yeah, whatever. I've always just played it in what they call relaxed mode, so it's draw 1 card at a time, no time limit, and you just play. The basic thing is put red cards on black cards, and then the numerical hierarchy of the cards, starting at the ace at the bottom, 1, 2, 3, all the way to 10, jack, queen, king, and then you try to build packs of 4 by opening the cards up on the right hand side, and then the aim is to get all the cards to the top, those 4 blank empty spots there, the parking spots for all four suits or suites of cards. It's also known as patience. So go ahead and play a few games on your own. Practice your click and your right click and click and drag. Don't worry, you can't break anything inside the game. So explore what each button does. You know, if you double click on a card, it could send it straight to the top if there's an opening, or if you right click once on the card, it'll send it straight to the top, depending on whether or not the right previous card is there already. And when you finish the game, this is what happens. You get a little bit of a show with all the cards cascading down. And then you can just start again and play another game. Now, you can go ahead and play a few games on your own. Feel free to go back to the beginning of this section or just hit pause. I'll still be waiting. Actually, bugger that, I'm not going to be waiting. I'm going to go get a refill quickly, and then I'll be back waiting for you to catch up. Okay, I'm back. Are you back? Well, you must be, because here we are. Now, once we're done with Solitaire for now, okay, remember, you can always just go back if you feel the need to go back and practice some more Solitaire. There is another program built into Windows that you can use to practice your mouse skills. This is actually better for precision work. In other words, learning to move the mouse in very small, precise, accurate increments so that you can, you know, fine-tune those mouse motor skills. Any guesses what it is? It's called Paint. Now, it's a little art app that was also included with Windows, and there are a lot of different reasons for it. I don't think it was because of, you know, learning how to use the mouse, but because it was a useful program that you could design things with in a very basic form. You could create pictures and whatnot and use them as illustrations or print them out or whatever it is that you used to do in the 1980s with, you know, dot matrix printers. But nevertheless, Paint has endured and it's still available on Windows today. This is how you open it. Watch the insert. Love this thing. So you go the usual route, you click on the Start button, you go to Windows Apps, scroll all the way down, find Microsoft Windows Accessories. Inside Windows Accessories, there is the Paint icon. Click on that. Or you can just go to the search bar, type in Paint, and then it'll bring it up for you in your Start menu. And then you click on it as well. It should open the window for Paint. Paint is actually very simple, straightforward, gives you a blank background, like they call it a canvas, exactly like your physical canvas that you would be drawing on, or a piece of paper. You have different tools at the top. You can use what they call a pencil for very fine work. There's markers, there's an eraser. You can change the colors of every tool that you're using, so that whatever color you choose, it'll change whatever you draw on the canvas. And you draw by, basically, you click and drag, and then it'll draw a line or a shape or whatever the case may be. Now, there's also a bucket, which is called the fill bucket. So let's say you've drawn a circle or a few other interesting shapes over there, and what you do is you click to choose a color, and you just click inside the empty space in the middle of that shape, and it will fill it with that color. God damn it, can't you see I'm doing a video here? Wow, that was a big mosquito. Bear in mind that the sides of the shape have to be closed, otherwise it will leak out like a hole in the bucket, and it will just flood the whole screen. So it doesn't really matter. Just practice, have fun, and if you really need to start over and it's horrible and you've made a complete mess, it looks like a dog's breakfast, just click on File, New, and Start Over. It'll give you a new blank canvas and you can start again from the beginning. Now, just bear in mind, I don't expect you to create masterpieces or serious anything. It's just there to learn to practice to use the mouse. If you feel confident, I can't speak tonight. If you feel confident enough to proceed, then we can carry on. But otherwise, play Solitaire or stay here and do some drawings. Have some fun. Why not? Life is short. Life is a box of crayons. This is supposed to help you learn to use the mouse. Don't worry about, oh, I can't draw. It looks terrible. It doesn't matter. The point is learning to use the mouse. You can always go back to practice some Solitaire if you really want to. You don't have to mess with paint. You might get paint on stuff. But you can carry on with it and you can just have fun. As long as you have fun and as long as you learn from that, then that's all that matters. Now if you're ready, we Like mice, computers also come in different sizes. Like mice, computers, no, not computers, keyboards. Like mice, computers, what is it with me and computers? Like mice, keyboards also come in different sizes, colors, shapes, and flavors. I wouldn't try to eat them because they don't taste very nice. They have more or less the same amount of keys, depending on their special function. There are different standards. This is a compact keyboard. This is a normal keyboard. You also get a gaming keyboard which has more keys, but it has special buttons for gaming purposes. But this is the most typical one that you have, probably with a wire attached to it. This one is wireless and so is this one. But I actually hate this keyboard because it's really terrible. It tastes terrible. It types terrible, but worse than that, the layout of the keys is slightly different, so that every time you're looking for a specific key, you hit another key and then you have to backspace, which is also somewhere else, and it's just one big old mess. So if you really want to buy a keyboard, avoid this one and rather go for this one. As usual, I digress. Most standard keyboards have 104 keys. Not that you expect to count them, but they generally have what is called a QWERTY keyboard layout. Why is it called a QWERTY keyboard layout? Because if you look from the Q key over there, it goes Q, W, E, R, T, Y, QWERTY. Now if you look at the keyboard on my wall here, I'll try to explain the layout for you. Right at the top, you've got function keys, which are used for special functions. If you push F1 is usually, to bring up the help screen if you are, needing help. F10, save, etc. It depends on the program you're using. It'll all have different functions. Then underneath that, you've got your alphanumeric keys, numbers, special characters, and your alphabet. At the bottom, you've got your Windows keys, a control button, an alt button, a Windows right-click button, and then you've also got your backspace, your delete, your space button, and your enter button. On the right-hand side of the keyboard, on the extreme right, normally what you have is called the numpad keys, which is rather like the keyboard of an old-style calculator, which is basically what it's for. It's for financial functions, database functions. Don't worry about it. They're just extra keys that you can also use. Now to learn to type, we're going to open an app called Notepad. Look for it on the Start menu, Windows, Accessories, Notepad. Click on it and open it. This will give you a blank white page on a window like that. Now if you look closely, you'll notice a little vertical line flashing at the top left corner of your blank page. It'll be going. Now this is the text marker or cursor. Wherever you see that, wherever that line is flashing is if you type something, your letter is going to appear there. Being able to type quickly and accurately will definitely give you a sense of accomplishment and confidence in using a computer. A lot of people who don't use a computer often tend to use what is called the hunt and peck method of typing. That is, they hunt over the keyboard and then they peck. And they hunt and they peck. This is a very slow, ineffective way to type. So I'm going to teach you how to type with all 10 of your fingers, if you're lucky enough to have 10 fingers, that is. Now if you look again on the keyboard, you'll see the positioning of the hands. If you've got your keyboard in front of you, whether it's a laptop or whether it's one of those 104 key keyboards, if you feel the F key and the J key, there are little ridges there that you can feel with your fingers. Now the point of those little ridges is so that you can actually find F and J just by feeling them. You don't actually have to look, you can just feel them. Okay, that must be the F, that must be the J. And from that you position the rest of your fingers as it is, as you can see in the image. I can't actually see it, by the way, I'm just trying to remember it. This is a green screen, remember? Isn't that cool? Just place your hands so that they're comfortable with the F and the J on these two. Well, on these two. This would be F, this would be J on the keyboard. Now start typing the alphabet. Now take your time with this, you can do it slowly. Type the alphabet, but use the finger closest to the next letter that you are going to type. So it's A, B, C, D, etc. Use the fingers closest to those letters. Don't move your whole hand just to use the index finger. That defeats the whole point of the object. use all your fingers. Now once you've typed the alphabet, push the enter key, take you to the next line underneath it, and type it again. A, B, C, all the way to Z. Repeat this a few times to improve muscle memory, speed, and accuracy. After you've done this for a few times, try putting a space between every letter as you type it, like that. Now to make things even more challenging, type the alphabet again using the Shift key to make every second letter a capital letter. Okay, once you've got that mastered, let's try typing some words for a change. Type up a shopping list, like I do over here. Okay, now I want you to type a letter to a friend or just a note about something that happened, etc., etc. Just any old nonsense. I've just typed a quick one over here, just as an example. Now when you're done, click on File, Save, give it a simple name, one, test, sample, example, whatever you want, and then click on Save. Don't close Notepad because we're going to use it again just now. You can minimize it by hitting the little minimize button if you want to. If you remember where it is. Remember, you can go back to any part of this video again by clicking on the timeline or chapter markers below. Or you can just pause here while you practice some more. I'll be right here waiting for you when you're ready to continue. Okay, congratulations, well done. You've learned to type. That really makes you a badass. Now the next step will be to learn text formatting. Don't worry, it's really quite easy. I'll show you how. For this part, you're going to need a word processor like MS Word or a free equivalent like WPS Office or FreeOffice, but there are a lot of different options. If you're still using an older version of Windows, you might still have WordPad installed. You can use that as well. That's also perfect. So open whatever word processor you've got on your computer. You might need to look for it though. You can find it on the start menu just like we did with all the others. I'm going to use Word because that's what I use. When you've got the app open, it will probably open the choose the type of document that you want to create dialog. Just click on blank and it will open a new blank page ready for you to type on. Remember I said don't close Notepad? Well, now you can bring it back up again. Not maximize, just restore it. If you can't see it there, that's probably because you've closed it. So you're going to have to go and look for your document wherever you saved it and open it again. But that's if it has been closed, it's not a big train smash. Anyway, that should make it appear on top of your Word window. Now take your mouse and highlight some of the text. Just the note or the letter that you typed inside the Notepad document. What's that? How do you do that? Remember when you were playing solitaire and you were doing paint and you were clicking and dragging? That's exactly what you're going to do here in Notepad. You point at the end or the start of the paragraph that you want to highlight. Remember when I say highlight, I mean you're going to select the text. So what you do is you click and drag over it so that it turns from black and white to blue. And I don't know if it's white or black, but it's on the screen. So then it looks like it's highlighted, it is selected. That's called highlighting or selecting. But you're learning so fast, I think I need to lie down. Now once selected, point your mouse at the top left of the window where you see the words file, edit, etc. Click on edit and then you click on copy. What this does is it copies the text that you've selected into the memory of the computer. Now it knows that you're going to want to put it somewhere. Now where are we going to put it? Any guesses? So click next to the Notepad window on the Word window. This will make your Notepad window seem to vanish because it's now gone behind the Word window, but that's no big deal because we don't need it anymore. And inside the blank space of the page, right click and click on paste. Now if you don't see the word paste in Word, sometimes you will see paste and underneath it there's a button symbol looking like a clipboard. Just click on that and it'll do the same thing, it'll paste. And once you've pasted your text, you can do anything you want with it. You can remove words, you can edit words, you can fix spelling mistakes. Using the backspace and the delete buttons, if you want to delete a word from after the word, you have to use the backspace button on your keyboard, and if you want to delete it from the beginning of the word, you need to use the delete button. Then you can change the formatting of the text as well. You can make it bold, you can make it italic, you can underline it, you can change the font face from Calibri to Arial to Comic Sans for all the difference it makes, as long as you're happy. You can make it bigger and you can make it smaller as well. Then you can align it on the left, you can put it in the center, and you can put it on the right hand side and back again. When you're done and you're happy with your document, go to File, click on Save. You know the drill. It's exactly the same as it is in Notepad. Once again, feel free to go back and practice any part of this video. You can pause it if you want, etc, etc. I'll still be here. Now close Word and Notepad. Congratulations, you've learned to type. How do you feel about that? I hope you're much more confident and happy about using a computer now. Good stuff. Now let's move on to... Here's the weird thing about email. These days, almost everyone has an email address. As a matter of interest, it's difficult to get through life without an email address. In fact, everything that you register for, be it with government or companies or anything, they expect you to tell them what your email address is so that they can contact you for important things like adverts and other crap, just like they do for your postal address or your phone number. Email addresses and services come in different flavors like Gmail or Webmail or Yahoo. The most common one today that almost everybody uses is Gmail or Google Mail, but pretty much everybody has a email address, and usually even on their phones, even if they don't use a computer, they tend to have a email address on their phone set up so that their service provider can send them bills and accounts and tell them how much airtime they've got left. And a lot of people, especially older people, have smartphones that they barely use all the features of, but they still have an email address set up on it and have no clue how to use it on a computer. In this part, I'll show you how to log into and use a webmail-based email address or mailbox like Google Mail or Gmail on your computer. To do this part, you're going to need A, your email address, B, your password for your email address, and C, your smartphone, and D, an internet browser on your computer. Right, so let's open your PC's internet browser. Look on your start menu for an app like Firefox or Chrome, or Opera, or if you use Windows 10 or 11, it probably has Microsoft Edge on it. My sincere condolences. But I really hope for your sake that you don't use it, because it's like its predecessor, Internet Explorer. It's utter garbage. It's slow and inefficient and laden with adverts, and it spies on you just like its creators. I prefer to use Firefox or even Chrome, but I'm much more partial to Firefox these days. But let's forget about all that and just open whatever browser you happen to have on your computer while I open Chrome for this part. Okay, I've opened Chrome, and if you haven't logged into your Chrome yet on this computer that you're using, you're going to have to log into it so that you can actually use your email address. While you're doing that, remember to tick the box that says remember me, otherwise you're going to have to log into it again every single time you want to check your email. Even if you're using Firefox or another browser, if you're trying to access your Gmail mailbox on that browser, you're going to have to log into Gmail or Chrome or Google to follow the same process. Once you've logged in or put your password in, Google will send you a verification email, text message to your phone, and then you'll have to take that number and you'll have to copy paste it into the page on your browser to tell it that it's you, that it really is you trying to log into your email address. Once you've done that, you should be logged in and sorted, and we can carry on. Now, once you've logged into your Gmail account, it will already be set up as it was set up on your phone. In fact, it should look very familiar. It should look about the same, just rearranged a little because the one screen is vertical, the other one is horizontal. So don't worry about that. On the left-hand side, you'll see there's all your categories and your folders, whatever you've saved your various emails under: bills from the bank, bills from the grocery store, etc, etc. On the right hand side in the middle are your messages. To read a message, all you do is you click on a message that you want to actually open by pointing at the title of the email, and then it'll open the email and you'll be able to read it. If you want to go back to the inbox, you just click on the inbox again, and then it'll clear that, clear your view back to the inbox. To send a message, you click this button. Somewhere over there's a button. In the address bar, you type there who you want to send it to. It'll search for through the mail bar, through your address book, and it'll suggest matching addresses. If the right address doesn't turn up or the right recipient doesn't turn up, you're going to have to type it in manually. Then in the message body, all you do is you type your message to the person that you want to send it to, or you can just copy paste the same message that we typed earlier and copy it into the Word document. You can open that and you can copy it and paste it into the body of your email. And then you can, if you want to add attachments, you can just add them like this. And then when you're done, you just click on send, and that's it. You've sent your email. It really is that simple. And now we finally come to if you've made it this far, I'm really impressed and I'm really proud of you. Well done and kudos to you. It's something like 40 or 50 minutes long. This video is probably one of the longest ones I've done for this channel. And I'd just like to mention that it took me about 5 separate sessions of filming just to get this done, stretched over a number of weeks. Yeah, you better appreciate it. Anyway, I hope that you found what I've shown you useful and that you learned from it, and that it helps you become more independent in using computers, and maybe even starts you down a path of continuous self-improvement, skills development and learning. Again, for anyone watching this video, please feel free to share it with anyone that you know who struggles to use a computer or who has never used a computer before. People that you feel could benefit from watching this video and doing the exercises. It's always good to pay it forward. Also, it would be really nice if you would click like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate the support, and thank you. And with that, this is the end of this video, and I will see you all in the next one. And remember, Veni, Vidi, Dedici. I came, I saw, I learned.